Welcome into a Reaction Monday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo, I think I'm going to be the Wi-Fi, the iffy-wiffy today.
The iffy-wiffy. Okay, well, better you than me.
The iffy-wiffy.
But I'll tell you, just because you are doesn't mean I won't be. So
there's that.
We'll see how it goes.
Oh, man. But welcome into a great show we have lined up for you. It's going to be fantastic. Matt Brown of Extra Points is going to join us. It's going to that's always a blast because he's got a ton of knowledge, and we'll get into a ton of topics. We'll also talk to CL Brown, which means today's show is somewhat sponsored by UPS. Because what are we going to do?
What can Browns do for you, huh?
Well, they can bring us great sports knowledge. And so today that's what we will use them for, and looking forward to it. CL Brown talk a little Kentucky Derby as, hey, our guy won.
How about that?
Couldn't believe it. When Forte was scratched early on Saturday, I thought, here we go. This is his opportunity. And Mage took advantage. So we'll talk to CL Brown about that. We've got rapid fire reactions as well. We'll get to everything we can possibly get to in the final segment of the day. Talk a little Braves as well, as they finally get a couple of wins on the weekend at home. About time. And much, much more. Man, there's a lot to get to today. So we might as well jump in as quickly as we can, Mo, because we do have the weekend results and today's schedule. And we'll give you that on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
High school baseball action on Friday. It was Beach 7, Gallatin nothing. Brentwood 10-3 winners over John Overton. It was Centennial 8, Franklin 2. Clarksville 3-1 winners against crosstown rival Rossview. Christ Presbyterian shut out Brentwood Academy 6-0, and Fairview was a 4-1 winner over White House Heritage. Green Hill down to Cookeville 9-1, while Sycamore shut out Harpeth 4-0. Station Camp was a 9-2 winner over Hendersonville, and Columbia Central with an 8-5 victory over Independence. Cane Ridge down Laverne 12-7. Page was a 3-2 winner over Lawrence County. Riverdale 6, Siegel 2. Spring Hill 5, Marshall County 0. It was Stewart's Creek 6, Smyrna 2, and Summit 1-0 winners over Nolensville.
On Saturday, Beach doubled up Station Camp 8-4. It was Oakland 11, Blackman 6. Brentwood with an 11-1 win over Franklin. Cannon County defeated Watertown 5-3. Centennial defeated Brentwood 4-1. It was Clarksville 2, Rossview 1. Green Hill with a 14-5 win over Cookeville. Christ Presbyterian Academy defeated Father Ryan 11-7. Eagleville with a 10-4 win over Moore County. Fairview defeated White House Heritage 10-7. Gallatin edged Hendersonville 4-3. It was Good Pasture 11, University School of Nashville nothing. Clarksville Academy 14, Franklin Grace 4, Independence with an 8-5 win over Summit. Lincoln County edged Spring Hill 4-3. It was Middle Tennessee Christian 7, Davidson Academy 6. Richland with a 16-10 win over Wayne County. Oakland blanked Siegel 7-0. Smyrna with a 14-4 win over Cane Ridge. Then Stewart's Creek with a 3-1 win over Smyrna. White House Heritage defeated Sycamore 17-0. Page and Tullahoma split 4-3 Page, 7-1 Tullahoma. Watertown with an 8-7 win over Cannon County. On Sunday, Independence in 5 innings defeated Columbia Central 20-2, and Riverdale defeated Oakland 9-4.
Friday softball action, Donaldson Christian defeated Columbia Academy 4-1, and Waverly was a 19-2 winner against Franklin. Good Pasture 13, Friendship Christian 2, Nolensville 5-1 against Independence, and Summit shut out Columbia Central 10-0. On Saturday, Zion Christian got the best of Clarksville Christian 13-0, and on Sunday, Oakland edged Riverdale 10-8. On the pitch, it was Loretto Decatur County 4, Decatur County Riverside 0 on Friday. Montgomery Bell Academy also shut out Oakland 2-0. On Saturday, it was White House 7, Liberty Creek 0.
In college baseball action over the weekend, Vanderbilt gave itself a chance in the series down at Alabama, winning game 2-4-1 before dropping the series finale 2-1. Tennessee opened with a 12-3 win at Georgia before the Bulldogs came back with 3-1 and 9-4 victories to take that series. Central Arkansas took 2 of 3 from Austin Peay, winning 4-2 and 16-15 before the Govs got a 7-6 victory in the finale. Illinois Chicago swept Belmont 13-8, 4-3, and 10-5. Lipscomb swept Kennesaw State 2-1, 8-3, and 4-3. Must have been Jeff Forehand coming on here with us.
Must have.
Dallas Baptist takes 2 of 3 from Middle Tennessee State, winning 16-5. The Blue Raiders winning 16-8, and DBU closing it out with a 15-6 victory. That's not defensive back university either. Trevecca with an 11-10 win over Tiffin. Tiffin with a 9-4 win over Trevecca. And in Mid-South Conference tournament action, it was Freed Hardeman 7, Cumberland 5.
College softball action, Tennessee takes 2 of 3 from South Carolina en route to a regular season Southeastern Conference championship. They win games 1 and 2, 3-0 and 4-2 before South Carolina took game 3, 4-2 as well. Jacksonville State took 2 of 3 from Austin Peay, coming back in game 1 to win 8-7 and getting a 9-0 win in game 2. Austin Peay took game 3, 9-3. It was Belmont sweeping Bradley 1-0, 4-2, and 4-3. North Texas takes 2 of 3 from Middle Tennessee State, 2-0 and 4-1 in games 1 and 2. Middle Tennessee State with the second game on Saturday, 3-2 win there for the Lady Raiders. It was Central Arkansas with a sweep of Lipscomb 12-1, 8-0, and 12-0. Tennessee State sweeps Morehead State ahead of the OVC tournament 4-2, 7-4, and 3-2. In the Great Midwest tournament, Tiffin ends Trevecca season 3-0. And in Mid-South Conference play, the University of the Cumberlands defeated Cumberland 8-2. Cumberland then bounced back with a 13-9 win over Thomas More before falling to Georgetown College 9-0, ending their season. And in junior college tournament up at Vol State, it was Jackson State 9, Columbia State 0.
Major League Baseball action of local interest over the weekend. Baltimore comes to Truist Field, picks up a 9-4 victory on Friday, but the Braves bounce back with a 5-4 win on Saturday and a 3-2 victory in 12 innings on Sunday on Peacock. Yes, we happen to have that. White Sox took 2 of 3 from the Reds, winning 5-4. Cincinnati winning 5-3. Chicago winning 17-4. Tigers take 2 of 3 from the Cardinals, 5-4 and 6-5 and 10, before the Cardinals double up Detroit 12-6 in the finale. Giants taking 2 of 3 from Milwaukee, winning 6-4 and 4-1 in the opening 2 games. Milwaukee winning 7-3 in game 3. And in minor league baseball action, The Sounds fall 10-7 on Friday at St. Paul, 4-3 on Saturday, but win 7-1 on getaway day. So, on the pitch, Nashville Soccer Club 3, the Chicago Fire Football Club, nothing.
How about that?
How about that? Chris, I got a couple of additions
Go
to your baseball, so go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, for baseball for this.
For
okay, well then go ahead and you do baseball, and I'll just start with softball.
All right, then. Station Camp plays at plays Gallatin at 4:00 today. Not sure exactly where, but also the second District 12 4A championship has Columbia Central at Independence at 6:00 today, and in District 8 3A, Lincoln County is at Tullahoma. That's a 6:30 start over there.
Softball action this afternoon. Blackman takes on Rockville at 3:00. It's Hendersonville at Beach at 5. Laverne and so Station Camp Gallatin is probably no, I guess it is anyway. Laverne Cane Ridge at 5, Mount Pleasant at Summertown at 5. Also at 5 is the Blackman Rockville loser taking on Riverdale. At 5:30, Moore County is at Eagleville. At 6:00, Clarksville Northwest is at Dixon County. Kenwood will be at Henry County at the same time. Stewart Creek and Antioch at 7. And Antioch, not sure where. Brentwood and John Overton also at 7. Giles County takes on Loretto at 7.
That's at Summertown.
At Summertown, okay. Gallatin and Station Camp at 7, which is probably at Beach, I would assume. And then Lawrence County Tullahoma softball at 7:00 as well. And then the Blackman Rockville winner will take on Siegel at 7 tonight. Good Pasture and Columbia Academy play this afternoon at a Columbia Academy at 6. Okay, 6:00.
Yes. Boys soccer today. Hunters Lane plays Overton at 4. Wilson Central plays at Smyrna at 5. Also at 5, Greenbrier is playing White House. Westmoreland is at Independence Academy at 6. Also at 6, Lebanon hosting Mount Juliet. Oakland hosts Riverdale at 7. Stewart's Creek plays at Siegel, not sure what time. Culleoka travels to Fayetteville. That's a 6:00 first touch. College baseball, Dyersburg State and Columbia State were scheduled to play at 10:00 this morning, but I think they had a game pushed back from yesterday as well, so I'm not sure if that game actually got off at 10 or not. Scheduled for 5:30, Volunteer State is playing Southwest Tennessee in the junior college tournament up at Harvard on the Highway, Vol State. Major League Baseball action tonight. Dodgers are at American Family Field taking on the Brewers. That's a 6:40 first pitch. Also, the always interesting Cardinals-Cubs series opens
even
at
more
Wrigley.
Interesting now.
Even, no doubt. Yeah. At Wrigley Field, that's also a 6:40 start, and that is your rundown.
Yeah, there's no score on the TCCAA website yet for that Columbia State game. And you're right. I know at least one game got pushed back. So
yeah,
who knows?
Who does know?
Let's talk about our top story today, Mo. Hey, first, just want to throw this out there because before we get into this, the all-rookie team, NBA all-rookie team was announced today, and one of the players on it is Walker Kessler.
Oh, wow.
Walker Kessler is the third Auburn player to make the all-rookie team. Can you name the other two?
Give me a second.
One of them is obvious and easy.
The other, I guess Charles Barkley would be one. Okay. Is the other one Chuck Person?
It is. Chuck Person, 1987, was the last Auburn player to make the all-rookie first team. So, yeah, I thought, man, that seems like not real, but I guess it is. And so,
what seems not real? That it's been that long between?
Yeah. I mean, you'd think somebody, but Auburn's not been very good at basketball. I mean, I guess
Chris Porter, maybe
Porter, but I don't know that he was even even a factor as a rookie. I don't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, it's wild to think about.
The rifleman who enjoyed some enjoyed some infamy a few years back in the
FBI
paper
case.
play scandal. Yeah, so yeah. Hated that for him.
Top story today on 3HL Friday. Our friends over at 3HL, we're talking with Burke Nihill, Titans president, who confirmed to them that the WWE has committed to bringing WrestleMania to Nashville once the new stadium is complete, potentially in 2027.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge deal. Like, I know it does. It's pro wrestling, whatever. It's a huge deal to get WrestleMania. Like, only the biggest of the big stadiums get this thing. And I feel like that's got to be a pretty big domino on the chessboard, right?
You know, you have a better feel for that than I do, because I'm just not a big pro wrestling aficionado follower.
Well, I'm just talking about the event itself. I mean, getting WrestleMania to me feels like a pretty big domino in the major sports event world.
I mean, I guess I was in New Orleans once when a WrestleMania event was going on down there, was scheduled to take place down there. I was getting on a boat right as it was getting ready to take place, and it was like the city was overrun, and folks don't need an excuse to come to New Orleans anyway. So,
or Nashville.
But yeah. So, I mean, I guess it is a pretty major deal when you think about it. I just hadn't thought about it. But,
well, I mean,
I think it's pretty cool that they are already, nailing down dates or nailing down commitments for the new facility.
Yeah, I think that's kind of that's my thought process here, is that you're all, we just approved this thing 2 weeks ago.
Not even
we've already got a commitment from WWE to bring in its biggest event of the year, its Super Bowl. And then if they're already doing that, he's on the phone with everybody else too. All the big names, the Bill Hancocks. Burke Nihill's already talked to Roger Goodell. I think they already had that nailed down before. It was probably just a contingent thing. Hey, we're going to bring it as soon as y'all get it ready, kind of thing.
Just get her done.
Just get it done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, what did I say that we would say in the next 12 months we would hear Nashville's name called in college football playoff? I think this only makes that timeline a lot more real. I think I lost Mo.
Yeah, one. It's the iffy whiffy again. I'm not sure if it's me or you, but yeah, we're kind of on the struggle bus yet again today. So might be good to just take a break and come back with M. Brown and see if things get better.
That sounds like a good plan, actually. So let's do that. But again, WrestleMania coming to Nashville. That has been confirmed.
Get your tickets now.
Get ready. Get ready, Nashville.
Or start saving up.
Get crazy.
Yep.
And no doubt. We've got Matt Brown of Extra Points coming up in just a moment to talk all things college sports. So stick around with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be right back to the Lee Company studio right after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Attention Tennessee homeowners, we want to buy your house. Hi, we are Real Property Solutions, a local real estate investing group. We pay cash for all types of property, so you walk away with more money in your pocket because we eliminate any fees, closing costs, and commissions. Now the best part, we can buy your house as is, meaning you don't have to do a thing to your property. You get to take what you want, leave what you don't, and don't even worry about cleaning. We close on your timeline, whether that's 7 days or 70 days. Interested in selling? Just give us a call and we'll come out to your property and quote you a cash offer within 24 hours. Please call 615-527-8750. That's 615-527-8750.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Glad to have you guys with us here in the Lee Company studio. And what a reaction Monday we have scheduled for you. Again, Braves coming up, of course. We'll also talk to CL Brown about the Kentucky Derby and rapid fire reaction, obviously in our final segment of the day. But now we go to the Real Property Solutions hotline, where we are joined by the guy who knows everything there is to know about college athletics. That's Matt Brown. Matt, what's going on, man?
Hey, fellas, I wish I knew everything there was to know. My job would be so much easier. My business would be in a different place if I knew everything. I'm just very self-aware with what it is I know and what I don't know.
Well, that's a key, man. But suffice it to say, you know more than we do. So,
Yes.
Let's start here. We've not had you on since the NCAA tournament, I don't think. Is San Diego State and the Pac-12, is that just a matter of somebody making an announcement? I mean, is that a done deal? What's up with that?
I don't think it's a done deal. It's as close to a done deal as you can have that San Diego State is going to be playing elsewhere outside of the Mountain West Conference, probably after this season. The question is whether it's going to be in the Pac-12 or the Big 12. And the hang-up is really more centered around, is there going to be a Pac-12? And I think it's much more likely that it is, but until that next television deal is signed and there's an element of certainty that Oregon and Washington and Utah and Colorado are not going to be in other power leagues in the next 2 years, it doesn't make sense for San Diego State to sign the paperwork and immediately move over. I mean, lest we forget, the institution has been burned by this before. They were a member of the Big East for like 2 weeks. Back in the day when it looked like Boise State and it looked like a bunch of other schools were going to jump into that league, then things changed and they ended up having to pay some expensive exit fees for a league they were never a part of. So it makes sense for everybody to be patient, wait until there's some sense of certainty for what the world's going to look like in 2026. and then San Diego State can make their best decision how to move forward.
Well, let's dive into the Pac-12 media rights deal then, because I think that's what the Pac-12 is kind of contingent on, right? Is whether or not they're able to sign a media rights deal.
Yeah, and this has been a really frustrating story, I think, for me to write about. And I think it's been a frustrating story for a lot of fans because, one, it's been going on for a long time. The will they, won't they, we're very close to signing a deal, then this deadline misses, and we've been doing this now for 6+ months. But there's also a lot of, I don't want to say not just misinformation, but information that contradicts each other that comes out from both reputable national outlets, industry press, and then just a gajillion YouTube channels and individual, Facebook pages and Twitter accounts and everything that makes it hard to track. And part of that is because there are 3 parties to this deal that are trying to negotiate in public. You have the Pac-12 institutions that may leak one thing to reporters. You have the network executives and the tech companies, and that's ESPN, that's Amazon, that's Apple. It may end up being other companies. Like I have been repeatedly told that Fox is still a part of this process, not as the lead football rights level, but for a small basketball package. They're still talking with the Pac-12. You have those people that are leaking things. And then you have the Big 12, which stands to benefit from instability or this deal not happening because they're trying to recruit some of these Pac-12 schools to join. So I think it's incumbent on everybody, whether you are another reporter or a fan or somebody that works in these departments, to think very hard about who's talking to this outlet that's writing anything right now. How do they stand to benefit, and how likely is it that they are actually going to have direct firsthand information? Because this is the other thing that's a little challenging about covering media deals and this part of the college sports business. Very few people in the building actually know what's going on. Like football, I'll tell you, football coaches, football assistant coaches, they're not in these meetings. They're not being, they're this, what ESPN and Amazon's going to do. Deion Sanders does not know the answer to that question. The people that do know are sometimes athletic directors, but mostly university presidents. And those aren't the kinds of people that college sports reporters always have at their beck and call on their cell phones.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And when I've been, everything I read, and obviously I follow a few people from out west, and the fans really don't seem too concerned, and I'm not sure that's the best thought process, but should they be concerned? Because clearly San Diego State doesn't know or doesn't feel like the Pac-12 is a sure thing to exist after next year. So if they don't feel extremely confident, why should anyone else?
You'll have to forgive me there. I think I missed the first part of that question because we got the slow Wi-Fi today.
The iffy whiffy. I think what I'm saying is, if San Diego State is concerned about the Pac-12 not existing, the fans who I'm seeing who seem to not be concerned at all should probably be concerned. I mean, it's not a guarantee the Pac-12 is going to exist in even 2 years.
Probably not until there is some kind of television deal. But honestly, I don't know if anybody can feel that 100% secure about most things in college athletics right now. I can understand emotionally if you were a fan of a Big 12 institution and you wanted to really go out on the internet and take a victory lap right now because your conference has been left for dead twice in the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people were writing columns saying that you were about to go to the gentrified American Athletic Conference. And now that you have a little bit more stability, you want to go dunk on Stanford. I get it. If you're a Kansas State fan, I completely understand. Would I say that those individuals are rooting for teams that have deep long-term security past 2026? No, because we might be moving to an explicitly professionalized model. And if you don't have a $75 million television deal, if you don't have infrastructure and resources like a Big Ten or an SEC program does, if your institution may feel differently about college athletics, we don't know what the future is going to be. So my advice, I think, to anybody, whether you're a fan of a Pac-12, a Big 12, a Conference USA, a WAC ASUN, whatever, I think you have to embrace a certain level of instability and uncertainty. Because whether it's your conference membership, whether it's where you're going to watch your games on television, or what this entire ecosystem of the sport's going to look like, as of right now, we don't know. And anybody that's trying to tell you that they know for a fact what it is trying to sell you a subscription to something.
Well, and that kind of leads into another topic that we wanted to talk about, and that is the future of D1 sports, FBS football specifically, and the impact that Colorado and Coach Prime are going to have on that already. Because with what we've seen in the transfer portal and all of those kids coming out, what the scholarships mean. You wrote a great piece about this, so I want to kind of get your take and share with our audience kind of what you learned about what the impact is going to be after this Colorado deal this season.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what's happening at Colorado right now. The last 2 years, when in the transfer portal era, it has been pretty common for many schools to try and remake their roster on some level in the offseason. We saw this most prominently with USC and Texas, I think, last year, where you were looking at bringing in 15, 17, 19 transfers, and some players on the roster being euphemistically processed, which is a polite way of saying that they got cut, even though they're not supposed to get cut. But we're looking at less than 24 people. And coaches like Lakin Riley, like Steve Sarkisian, and also at Nebraska and Miami and Texas State and several other places. We're looking to the portal to remake parts of the roster, to bring in new supporting members to support the existing talent you already have. What's happening at Colorado is something very different, where they're literally trying to remake almost the entire roster. We're looking at 60-plus people being different from last year's team. Now, granted, last year's team sucked, right? It was the worst team in the Power Five. It was one of the worst teams in the entire country last year. But this is still unprecedented. And there's two reasons why this is very risky and could be transformational moving forward. One of those is on the field. There simply aren't enough good players in the transfer portal right now. The best players in the portal hit that portal last year. They hit it right after the football season. It was during the winter window. The kind of people that are hitting the transfer portal now or did over the last couple of weeks were generally guys that got cut somewhere else or had a reason for being in the market. And for the exceptions, everybody was trying to get them. If you were a 6'7", 290-pound offensive lineman, every Power 5 program in the country is offering you. And we saw this with a couple of linemen from Mountain West schools. So that means that you got to get your NIL money up if you want to get some of those players, because the competition is very fierce. That's not where Colorado is right now. They have a very flashy coach. They don't have the NIL infrastructure and the guaranteed bags that you're seeing in some places in the ACC and SEC and elsewhere. So this roster next year for Colorado is going to have major depth problems. Now, the NFL doesn't need 85 guys. If nobody gets hurt, if Colorado nailed every single one of these assessments, it might work. But it's also a team that, hey, if a couple linemen go down, if Deion's kid, a quarterback, misses some time, there's nobody behind them. We are looking at, Big Sky caliber guys and below, farther down that depth chart. So that's very risky. The other thing is that if this works, and again, risky, Colorado also has an extremely difficult schedule. But if it works, there's no reason why any other coach isn't going to try to do the exact same thing, particularly if they are a new coach that's immediately hired. They're probably not going to be able to do it as well as Deion Sanders, because Deion, God bless the guy, is one of a kind. Nobody else is the brand of Deion Sanders, has the force of personality as Deion Sanders, has the connections throughout college athletics as Deion Sanders. Somebody else is going to try it, and it's not going to work because you're not Coach Prime. Even if you were an NFL legend, right? Like Eddie George is not Deion Sanders, even though he was hired to do some of those similar things. So then you have depth issues, and then I think you have a player rights issue, because these guys were supposed to be on 4-year scholarships at Colorado, and they were cut, and their college careers and their academic studies were interrupted. Some of them will be able to still have productive athletic careers. Some of them won't. Some of them will graduate in 4 years. Some of them won't too. And these are the kind of things that become talking points for lawmakers, for federal judges, for labor leaders, and the kinds of people whose input are really going to shape the future of college athletics right now. So this might help Colorado in the short term. It might blow up in their faces in the short term. It'll be fun to watch, which is not something we typically say about Colorado football. I'm actually going to go out of my way to watch some of their games. But even if it works in the short term, it could be very, very problematic and detrimental to that team in the long term if it forces some big structural changes in Division I football.
Matt Brown joining us on the Real Property Solutions hotline here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Matt, following up on the Colorado situation, for lack of a better phrase, freshman signees or a freshman recruiting class or a recruiting class is capped at what, 25 scholarships in a year? Is that right?
Well, there's some exceptions to that, but that's the
But there
baseline.
is a cap. Yeah.
There is the cap, yes.
Do you see a situation? Do we need to look at a situation where we cap the number of transfers you can bring in?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that does get revisited. Part of the reason the hard cap is more flexible this year is because several coaches said, listen, we might lose more players in the transfer portal than we can legally sign if it's capped at 25. Your roster attrition could be higher than that. And then if you enter a season at like 73 scholarships or 72 scholarships, you might have a situation like Kansas had under Charlie Weiss or David Beatty, where it took them like 8 years to get back to 85 scholarships. You have to play half a decade as an FCS school because you can't get your numbers back up in time. So they wanted to give some flexibility. And it was honestly a lot of MAC schools, a lot of Sunbelt schools that were pushing for this, even though they were knowing that Power 5 schools were going to oversign a little bit. Revisiting that, I'm sure, will be an object of discussion among coaches and administrators this offseason. Another thing you have to consider, though, is that if a school is accepting a transfer, I believe it's somebody who came in for the second time, but if you're accepting a bunch of transfers, they are on the books as a counter. So if you bring in a transfer and that guy is processed or leaves early or goes somewhere else, the school is still accountable for that person's graduation rate. They're still accountable for that spending internally. So there is a penalty for just taking 45 transfers and 30 of them not graduating. We'll see if there are policy changes that make what Colorado is doing, and to some extent what Arizona State's doing and a couple of other schools, less possible.
That's something I did not know. So bringing the knowledge today again, as we said, knows a lot more than we do. Matt, shifting gears before we let you go, over the weekend, obviously Vanderbilt played Alabama after Alabama let its baseball coach go due to a betting scandal, and a lot of great and really interesting information has come out about that in the meantime. But what kind of impact is this going to have on sports betting at the collegiate level, if any?
This is a great question. I was actually just working on a story about this before I hopped on with you guys.
Okay. In fairness, I went through your Twitter feed and made sure that that we were talking about things that you were working on. So give us the short answer and tease to your article. That's the way to do it here, right?
Of course. So one of the things that's surprising to me about betting on college baseball is that
that folks are betting on college baseball.
One, that folks are betting on college baseball, but you can't do it everywhere, right? Like I'm based in Chicago, and I'm not a gambler, but I looked up our local sports book, the one that's down the street from Big Ten headquarters. They won't let you place a bet on college baseball. You can place a bet on Turkish professional basketball or Finnish professional soccer or a bunch of stuff I didn't even know were sports. But for college sports here, it's only basketball and football. I actually made a couple of calls. FanDuel will take some bets, and a couple other places will let you do it. But if you want to bet on a baseball or a softball or a volleyball game in college, the books typically say you can only bet $300. You can only bet $250, like a very low limit. So it's hard to make a bunch of money if you had some inside information, which is possible, I think, particularly in baseball, where most of the folks don't make a lot of money. Alabama's baseball coach definitely did. But if we were to go down to the Big South or the ASUN or even in the Big Ten, there's assistant coaches, there's guys in that bullpen, there's guys in that dugout that are making $55,000. And those are the kind of people that might be tempted to let a buddy know, hey, we're making a change here with the who's pitching tomorrow, or this guy's hurt, to maybe kick back some money for me, which is how things happen with basketball for decades. And we would bust somebody about this about every 10 years. I would be very concerned that this kind of thing could happen much more often and in a way that regulators can't easily catch for sports that are not college baseball. Looks like there's a second investigation happening with Iowa's baseball team right now. We'll get some more information about that. But I think the chances that somebody is not necessarily fixing a game, but somebody is point shaving in mid-major college basketball next season at roughly 100%. And there's a good chance that they won't be caught while doing it. So that's something to think about if you're thinking about gambling, or if the point spread matters to your enjoyment of the game. The more people are doing this, the more the temptation is for somebody at Austin P to capture $2,000 to miss some free throws and nudge the line one way or another. It's going to be hard for them to say no to that.
But Matt, don't you think that with legalized gambling now, don't you think there are more eyes on it and it is a little easier to get caught?
I think it is easier to get. I mean, there's definitely a lot more eyes on it. There's definitely a lot more eyes on it than it was back in the 50s and 60s. And for a sport like college baseball, where there's so few people betting, yeah, like if I go in there and I put $50,000 on Long Beach State tonight to beat Loyola Marymount, the FBI is going to show up at my door. Especially
before you get, they'll be there when you get home, man.
They'll be there when I get home. They're right. They're going to sit there on my couch eating popcorn, waiting to book me. But if I was putting $50 here, $100 there on college basketball games over the course of a year, and I happen to, befriend some people at Chicago State or at DePaul or at Loyola or some places in my area, and spread out my bets across a number of different books, even with more eyes on it, it would be hard to catch. And that's why we were only catching people about once a decade, even when some of those books the action was happening in the United States. I'm not saying it's good that we have more people looking. It's good that we have robust gaming integrity, outlets. But even then they'll say we're not going to catch everything. And when players aren't making any money directly from schools, and remember, even in this NIL era, a lot of these mid-major guys aren't making anything, man. They're getting some cheap basketballs and some Mountain Dew. If somebody comes around there and offers $5,000, $1,000, $2,000, not big money, it's going to be hard for everybody to say no.
It's going to be hard for everybody to say no. You're going to have to ask a few people probably.
Yeah.
But at some point, you're going to get a yes.
Some people will say no, but if you keep asking,
yeah,
I think you could pull it off.
Matt Brown, Extra Points. You can obviously follow him at Matt Brown EP. And Matt, what can we expect this week for those who are not signed up on the newsletter?
Sure. We're working on a couple of different stories, right? We're working on an update here about sports gambling. I am speaking to the new athletic director at John Carroll, a Division III school in Cleveland, who was just on LSU's football staff, just left that job to go take an AD gig at his alma mater. And we want to find out why you would leave SEC football to take on a Division III school in Ohio. We have an update coming about the Pac-12 media rights deal and hopefully some new NIL stories, which you can find at extrapointsmb.com.
Matt, as always, great stuff. We appreciate you.
And of course, it's been a pleasure, fellas. Take care.
All right, man.
It's Matt Brown on the Real Property Solutions Hotline. 615-527-8750 is the number to call. Make sure to give them a call if you are looking to sell your home. They'll buy it as is. They can close on your timeline, whether that's 7 days or 70. You can take what you want, leave what you don't. Don't even worry about cleaning. They'll take care of it all for you. So just give Real Property Solutions a call, 615-527-8750. We'll take a break. When we come back, we've got a little Braves chatter. Also I'm sure we'll get into some other Major League Baseball topics as well. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today is in the Lee Company studio, and we'll be right back after this.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
You've been putting back a few.
Walmart Supply Chain is hiring in Lebanon. Earn up to $22.25 an hour when you join our new fulfillment center. Enjoy competitive pay and premium perks, including 100% paid college tuition, 401k match, flexible schedules, a free Walmart Plus membership that includes discounts, and free Paramount Plus, paid time off, and so much more. Fulfilling work starts right here. Text JOIN to 240-240. That's JOIN 240-240 to apply now.
There is nothing better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
May 8th, 1971, Willie Mays hit a solo home run in the 6th inning and Hank Aaron a 3-run blast in the 8th, the latter providing the difference in the Braves' 5-2 win over the host Giants and marking the first time in baseball history that two players with 600 career home runs or more had gone deep in the same game. Mays with 634, Aaron with 604. That was this day in Braves history.
That's pretty cool. I'm in for that. Oh man, what a weekend it was for the Braves. Tough opening game on Friday, and it just seemed like, oh, here we go again. But Atlanta with a pair of dubs on the backside of the series. Of course, it took 12 innings to get the last one, and some heroics from across the board.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think what we found out, though, is I think what we found out is that Baltimore's pretty good.
No, I don't think there's any question for we said it on the front side of this thing that Baltimore was really good, and this was going to be a fun series to watch. Now, you know, Sunday's games or Sunday's game on Peacock was kind of fun to watch. I mean, I didn't necessarily love Matt Vasgersian, who I've come to love over the years as he's the voice of MLB The Show, or had been for several years.
I didn't love Matt Vasgersian. I didn't love the Orioles tilt to the broadcast.
I'm so used to it that I don't even hear it anymore.
Yeah, that's a problem, though. I'm trying to figure out what exactly it is that the Atlanta Braves have done to the national media that creates that. And as my mom used to say growing up, just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get me. I mean, I don't think we're being biased when we say that there is a Braves bias at a national level. I mean, when you listen to the national telecast, I don't know, maybe we're just used to listening to the Braves telecast. I don't know, but
Well,
I
until this
feel
year, the Braves telecast was kind of
anti-Braves.
Braves
That's a good
at
point.
times.
But I mean, I don't feel like it's being overstated or biased when you say that national telecasts tend to favor whoever it is that the Braves are playing. And I don't necessarily want them to favor the Braves. I just don't want them to favor the other team.
Right. Matt Olson goes yard in the first inning, which is something that I thought was kind of fitting in that, he had been kind of a scapegoat to some degree over the last couple of weeks. But it's clear to me that Matt's fits in well with this offense where he's needed. And also I love that, once again, a fantastic outing from Bryce Elder. I mean, 1 run unearned. You'll take that. Scattered some hits, had a couple of times that he had to pitch out of some jams, including a bases loaded jam at one point. But other than that, thought he pitched well. And of course everybody pitched well because I don't think there was a base hit between the 5th and 9th innings.
There was a while between base path traffic for either team. I mean, again, 3-2 and 12. It kind of spoke for itself. But nice to see Arcia back out there.
And he made a couple of really tough plays. One on a little bloop to shallow left that I thought at first was easily catchable. And then when I saw, then I realized that, oh gosh, it might not be. And he still got there. And the play in extra innings to throw out the guy at third, I thought was really impressive too. And I think this is it right here.
I think it is. Yeah. Very heads up. Not a great throw, but Riley made a nice play on it to finish that off. But yeah, that was kind of a difference maker. It kind of got lost in the Acuna throw in the next inning, I think. But yeah, that was big. Like I said, it was just nice to see him back out there.
Good job by Marcell Ozuna in the extra innings as well to get Sam Hilliard over, who then scored on a wild pitch. And I mean that pitch was crazy in the dirt, and I thought it was almost little league-ish.
Yeah, it's a good read.
Great read. Ties the game, obviously. And then in the 11th inning, I'm not sure if we're going to see it or not, but I'm sure we will. I just don't know if it'll be right this second. Great play there, unfortunately, by the catcher to your heads up play by the catcher. Not necessarily great. He just threw it to third base, but
yeah.
But this is the great play. This is the one we want to talk about. And we talked about this on the show, Mo. We talked about how many times is Ronald not going to get run on because of him doing things
because
like
he can do that. Yeah. I mean, how many folks don't move up on that play as a result of that play?
I mean, that's a tough read, and I'm not running on him. I can tell you that.
No.
Acuna was fantastic. So Braves go down in the 11th here, as you see, and top of the order was struggling, to say the least, in extra innings, but it didn't matter because the bottom of the order had been really good all day long, and they come through in the clutch, Mo.
Yeah, and I saw something on Twitter yesterday, and I should have screenshotted it or something, but I did not. But uh, with the win, the Braves got to 24-11 on the season, I believe. I think this is the third time in Atlanta history that they have been, or maybe the fourth time that they've been 24-11. I think the last time might have been 98.
It
But
was. The time
so
before that was 97.
Okay.
And then the time before, I quote, this is I think you liked the tweet that I quote tweeted on that. And it'd take me too long to find it, but
Yeah, I thought it was a Grant McCauley tweet or maybe a Mark Bowman. I'm not sure, but I'm trying to find it. Unfortunately, I'm struggling to do so.
69, 97, and 98.
Okay. So, I mean, 24-11, even as good as the Braves have been over, some period of time, this is only the fourth time that they've been 24-11. That's not nothing.
And
I mean,
97, 98 is either good or bad depending on your great regular seasons. Not so great after that. So I guess it just depends on what you want to enjoy. And that's kind of it's in your opinion, what is more fun to enjoy? A tough regular season where we're just like gloom and doom all the time, but then win the World Series, or 162 games and 6 months of excitement and then losing heartbreakingly in the playoffs?
I think there was a time where it would have been B, but at this point, I think this is a team. I think this is a franchise that wants to play for World Series championships, and so that it's all about the ring, whatever it takes to get there. Now, I here's the thing though. I think you have to play good ball through the season to be in position to win a World Series too.
Yeah, but this is, 25-year-old.
I don't think it's an either or.
I'm just saying, I do think there's, in the Atlanta Braves organization, there is. I mean, historically speaking, you're either going to be really good throughout the regular season and then choke in the playoffs at some point, or skate in by the skin of your teeth and then win the World Series.
Well, I think that's more. I think that's more of a reality that the best team doesn't always win in the postseason, too.
Yeah, it is. I don't think there's any question there. And you know what? I'll settle for not being the best team if we win the postseason.
There you go. I mean, I don't know that we have any control over, but I tell you what, I think Braves fans over 180 days, I don't think are willing to concede that. I don't think they want to be okay during the regular season and win the World Series. Braves fans want to win 162 games and then win
the World
16?
Series.
Yeah, and the World Series. I mean, if you don't believe me, just go to Braves Twitter after any loss. So
I'm looking for 178. No, baby.
Yeah. So we'll see how that works for you. But they got Boston coming in next. Is that right?
Boston coming in tomorrow. So get the day off today. Mets are under 500.
Yay.
Which is hilarious.
I don't hate it.
And as we mentioned earlier, the Cubs and Cardinals play tonight, Mo, and the Cardinals will be doing so without former Cubs catcher Wilson Contreras behind the plate, as he'll be in left field.
Yeah, that's what you spent that money for in the offseason. The Cardinals have got some issues, man.
I don't think it's the catcher position that's got the issues, though.
I don't think it is the catcher position. I don't think it's Wilson Contreras.
In any way, shape, form, or fashion.
I think the issues are, as that meme a couple of years ago said, it's above me. It's I'm not even sure it's on the field. But like I said, Ken Rosenthal, I think, has an article on The Athletic today just about how the Cardinals front office maybe lost their way a little bit in even pursuing Contreras. He's not a fit for them. And whatever they're finding out about him was easily known prior to signing him in free agency.
I would agree with that.
So I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily Contreras as much as it is the people in the personnel department, so to speak.
With just a misread.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. An expensive one.
Yeah. I mean, obviously replacing a Hall of Fame catcher is and a guy who was the undisputed leader of your team for
I mean, anybody coming in behind Yadier Molina was going to be a drop off for them. So,
but they I don't think they were ready to embrace the person, whomever it may have been. It could have been Sean Murphy, it could have been Wilson Contreras, it could have been William Contreras. I don't think it would have mattered. And I kind of, I kind of feel bad for Wilson Contreras, but also like you kind of should have known what was coming. But then again, ego with professional athletes and coaches, and we know it better than anybody. You're the guy who can. You're the one who can make it work.
Yeah. Had that conversation with a prominent high school football coach about 30 years ago over a certain college football coaching position. So, yeah. You just feel like you can fix it.
And if it doesn't need to be fixed and you're just coming in after the Hall of Famer, hey, I'm a future Hall of Famer too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Wilson Contreras very well may be. I don't think he's going to do it if he's a St. Louis Cardinal, though.
Exactly. I don't think he's going to do it from the outfield either. So,
and he's certainly not going to do it from left field. So that's a wild, man. I cannot believe the Cardinals spent all that money and then after 30 days decided it wasn't going to work.
Yeah. And I don't know how Wilson Contreras gets better at catcher in left field.
Well, I don't think he needs to get better at catcher. I mean, this is a guy who was all league, all-star.
Well, a friend of mine on Facebook said that he feels like Contreras may be just a scapegoat for an underperforming pitching staff.
That's exactly what it is.
And that it makes sense from the standpoint that that's a pitching staff that the Cardinals developed. And so if it's, are we going to admit that our pitchers are awful, or are we going to throw it off on a free agent catcher who we've got nothing invested in other than $80 million?
It's tough to throw it.
I don't think this is going to end well.
Egos all around, baby. Does egos on both sides ever end well?
Rarely.
You can have an ego on one side, but when you got them on both, you could pretty well just write it down. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, let's take a break. CL Brown is standing by, and we're going to grab him in just a minute, talk a little bit about the Kentucky Derby, and who knows what else. He's up in Louisville these days, and looking forward to chatting with him. So stick around here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back to the Lee Company studio right after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you. No matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Attention Tennessee homeowners, we want to buy your house. Hi, we are Real Property Solutions, a local real estate investing group. We pay cash for all types of property, so you walk away with more money in your pocket because we eliminate any fees, closing costs, and commissions. Now the best part, we can buy your house as is, meaning you don't have to do a thing to your property. You get to take what you want, leave what you don't, and don't even worry about cleaning. We close on your timeline, whether that's 7 days or 70 days. Interested in selling? Just give us a call and we'll come out to your property and quote you a cash offer within 24 hours. Please call 615-527-8750. That's 615-527-8750.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow and Mo Patton here with you on this Reaction Monday. Rapid fire reactions coming your way in just a moment. But first, we go to the Real Property Solutions hotline, where standing by is C.L. Brown. Brown number 2 for the day. That's exciting. As Matt Brown joined us earlier, now we have C.L. talking a little Kentucky Derby. C.L., thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I had some trouble getting on, but I think we got everything straight now. So hopefully there's no kind of connection issues.
Well, connection issues just come with the territory these days, CL. First of all, I want to congratulate you, welcome you back to Louisville. Was looking up some Kentucky Derby stuff on Friday and kept seeing your name coming up. Last time we spoke, you were working over in North Carolina with the Raleigh News and Observer, covering North Carolina hoops. Meant to reach out to you over the course of the season with everything that was going on over there, but back in Louisville as columnist for the Courier Journal now, and less than a month, right at a month now?
Yeah, right at a month. I guess the first day I started was April 10th, so nearing my 1 month anniversary. But of course, I was there from 2000 to 2013, so so it's just kind of a reuniting, if you will.
Well, and coming back right as the Kentucky Derby is getting ready to go off. That's not exactly a slow news day up there.
No, it was a lot, and this certainly was probably the most out of the 148 previous runnings of the Kentucky Derby, the news heading into this week has to be one of the heaviest and kind of darkest in quite some time. I mean, they had a total of 7 horse deaths. 2 of them happened on race day Saturday. One of them happened, in a paddock when the horse was. The trainer said the horse was startled by like a DJ booth lights that they had set up kind of behind the area or whatever. And then you had a couple that collapsed after competing that they still don't know what happened. And then it led to a suspension of the trainer of those 2 horses. And, it's tough whenever just one horse dies, from an injury or whatever or on the course. But then when you have all of that collectively add up, it was tough. It was tough for a lot of people that really care about, their horses and the way this industry, where this industry is headed.
That's kind of, obviously the big talking point of the end. Mo, were you there and I just missed you?
No. You go right ahead. You were fine.
Okay. Yeah, that was the big talking point of the weekend. And, obviously this isn't typical of the Kentucky Derby or any race where you would have something like this happen. Are folks concerned at Churchill Downs about this, or what's the mood there or the thought process?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely concern. I think what people maybe on the outside don't understand fully, because let's face it, horse racing is pretty much a niche sport in America now, and so that's what makes this all happening the week of Derby even magnified bigger, because if this happens on a regular spring meet week, yeah, you'll hear about it a little, but it probably, unless you're just in the industry, it probably won't even really resonate. But because all of this was leading up to the Derby and you had national media outlets all already there in place, it kind of, took on a bigger, much bigger meaning, and the magnitude of everything that happened just kind of got bigger. So, there's concerns for sure. I think more than anything else, they want to find out, when the necropsies come back for the 2 horses that just collapsed. That's what's mysterious. Like, it's when a horse gets injured, they suffered a wrong kind of leg injury. We all know how that goes. And so, there are several that happened to. And so, they're going to reevaluate just to make sure that it's not something with the dirt track or the turf track that has caused it. But the kind of the crazy thing about it is there's not one, even with 7 deaths, there's not one thing you could look at right now and say, this is what we need to fix and this is going to make everything better, because it was different situations. So, it was definitely a stressful week, for the folks at Churchill Downs, and there is concern about it going forward. But I don't think it's anything that they can't overcome at this point. Now, once we wait and see when the results come back of the 2 horses that collapsed, maybe that will change things. But as of right now, it's bad, but I don't know that it's I shouldn't even say that it can't get worse, but they're definitely in a mode where everything is serious, to the point where you had Forte scratched the morning of the Kentucky Derby, and I think, and Todd Pletcher, the trainer, even said, in most cases, in most years, maybe they would have let the horse run, but they had the veterinarians, and it wasn't Todd Pletcher's call to make. I think that was probably the smart thing to do, to take it out of their control. And they had a team of veterinarians go look at the horse, and they were the ones who said he's not going to run. So so you have them taking an abundance of caution to try and make sure that this doesn't happen. And that's also why Churchill Downs suspended Safi Joseph. He was the trainer of the 2 horses that collapsed and died. And Joseph had a horse that was supposed to run in the Derby. Lord Miles, but they ended up scratching him, and that was also out of an abundance of caution. So they seem to be making the right moves right now because of everything that happened. But there's still 7. The number is 7, and that was pretty close to overshadowing the 149th run for the Roast.
Louisville Courier Journal sports columnist C.L. Brown joining us here on the Real Property Solutions Hotline on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. CL, as you mentioned, the 149th running of the Kentucky Derby, and we had some local interest in the winner down here. Mage, friend of ours, actually owns a very minor interest in the horse. So, obviously with Forte scratching, it kind of opened up the field a little bit, but what talk pre-race was there regarding Mage in terms of being in the winner's circle when it was all over?
It's funny. Mage was actually my dark horse. I feel pretty proud of myself for that coming into it. I think a lot of people looked at how, he'd only run 3 times. He'd only had 3 starts, I should say, and were wondering if that kind of inexperience was going to hurt him in the Derby, and also the fact that he had lost to Forte in 2 previous races as well. I'm not sure that a lot of people really, were really behind it. I mean, and that's also indicated by the 15-1 odds, but, certainly whenever there's a field as big as the Derby, which by all the scratches, it wasn't 20 horses now. This is my daughter jumping in, trying to get my attention. I apologize for
No, that's fine.
We're still working on her knowing when she's not supposed to do that. But so this was it certainly was a surprise, and I think everything kind of worked out perfectly for Mage to have that burst at the end and overtake 2 fills. But I think there was a lot to it. I think that their trainer, Gustavo Delgado, and senior and junior, had a lot of confidence in the horse coming into this race. And I think it's going to be really fun once the Preakness takes place, once everybody actually commits to it, because they haven't committed yet. But once, if they're both going to be in the Preakness, I think it sets up nicely, kind of, a good little competition there to see if this was a fluke run by Mage, or to see if Mage is the real deal once Forte gets back in the race.
Well, he only lost by about 3/4 of a length at Florida, and wasn't even close to in the race on the front stretch. So I think that's when Forte got scratched. I said this is Mage's opportunity, and obviously, again, we had some rooting interest, so I didn't know if that was just my bias coming through or if I really thought he had a chance, but clearly he did, so that worked out really well. I just feel like this Kentucky Derby was unique in so many different ways, and in that the favorite was scratched. And that being said, it's still the Kentucky Derby, and in your mind, is this an event that has kind of outgrown the race?
That's a good question. I think well, certainly the folks at Churchill Downs don't think that way because of the basically new facility that they built in the first turn, and increased capacity to, there was 150,000 people there on Saturday. So it's still, still brings in the celebrities. You had Patrick Mahomes doing the Riders Up call. It's an incredible event. And to an extent, I think like when I go back to the horse that, the horse is called Coat of Kings, and it basically reacted and flipped when it saw DJ lights, in the paddock area. It was fixated on the lights, and was kind of spooked, and it ended up, because of the flips, it ended up breaking its neck and had to be euthanized. I think those are some of the areas that Churchill Downs is going to have to look at to kind of reel back. Like, it's one thing, obviously, the race itself is for our entertainment when we, if we peel back the layers of it. Yes, it's all for our entertainment. But I think some of the extra stuff that they allow and that they do, like during the week, you can take tours of the backside where all the barns are and the horses are and everything. And I think some of that foot traffic and extra just amount of people, horses are very sensitive animals, and they're used to their routines. And so this is the only time in their lives, this week of Derby, it's the only time where it's going to be that many people and that much attention and just extra stuff that I don't know that they necessarily need. So I think Churchill Downs needs to look at kind of eliminating some of those things and just allowing the horses to be horses and run, when it's time to run, as opposed to we're going to do all of this stuff and have all these bells and whistles on the peripheral, and the horses are going to have to come and go through those kind of things, because I think it kind of adds to, you want to eliminate the chances for something to go wrong. And I think by having all these added elements into it, you're almost asking for something to happen. And two horses got loose. I think that was the that was the Thursday morning. You had one filly that was in the Kentucky Oaks. I think it was called All Tell No Lies or something like that. And you had a horse in the Derby, Verifying, Verifying was actually on the track. All Tell No Lies was coming off and got loose, by the barns. And let me tell you, there's nothing scarier than 1,000-pound, 1,100-pound horse running around, scared with no guidance. I mean, you want to see people move quickly to take cover. When that siren goes off at Churchill Downs, alerting you that there's a horse on the loose, you better cover quick. But I think Churchill really has to look at some of those things and make it more about the race than the event itself.
CL Brown with the Louisville Courier-Journal with us here at CL Brown Hoops on Twitter. Make sure to give him a follow. CL, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you taking some time with us today and talking a little horse racing.
Anytime. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thanks, CL.
You got it. It's the Real Property Solutions hotline. Again, Real Property Solutions, 615-527-8750. They'll buy your house as is. Just give them a call. Take what you want, leave what you don't. Don't even worry about cleaning. They'll close on your timeline. 7 days or 70. It's Real Property Solutions, 615-527-8750. Mo, let's get into some rapid fire reactions. We have a few things we want to talk about. Don't have a lot of time to do it, so get your track shoes on. Here we go. We'll start. We'll start in Major League Baseball. Obviously, a tough weekend for folks of the old athletics organization. 3-time World Series champion Vida Blue passed away over the weekend. But man, what a heck of a story that guy was.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you, that was right when I was beginning to have an awareness of Major League Baseball, and obviously grew up a huge Braves fan. But at the same time, the Braves weren't very good. The Oakland A's were. And man, they were fun to watch, that bunch, and none more fun than Vida Blue with that big left-handed leg kick and that kind of thing, and so dominant and such a big part of that team's run. Like you said, that three-peat from 72 to 74. Reggie Jackson, Ken Holtzman, Catfish Hunter, Burt Camp. I mean, I could name most of them probably. And
fingers on those.
Yep.
Raleigh fingers.
And I'll tell you, another guy who was on there was former Nashville Sounds pitching coach Daryl Knowles was on some of those teams as well. But you saw them every October, and they were a tough out. But
He was
again,
he was actually a member of the Birmingham A's along with, Jackson and Fingers and all those.
yep, they all
So
kind of
it's the
came up through
Rickwood
the
Field.
organization together. Yeah, that was very unfortunate to wake up and hear that yesterday morning. Tough loss for Major League Baseball.
I love it too. I love that, Birmingham media outlets, former Birmingham A's pitcher and 3-time World Series champ.
Well, hey, I mean, you got to
Hey,
localize it when you
localize
can,
it,
right?
baby.
Yeah,
Localize it, baby,
absolutely.
when you can. That's well done. But hey, the fact that he's not in the Hall of Fame is a travesty. I'm just going to put that out there. But hey, who am I and what do I know?
Exactly.
There's a lot of guys who
Those.
deserve to be in the Hall of Fame who aren't. So, oh man, let's touch on some others. We'll go to the NBA playoffs where it seems this particular round is a lot more fun. Now, Warriors Lakers fans will tell you that the Lakers are getting a little extra help, but I don't necessarily know it's completely accurate. Lakers lead the series 2-1, and the Warriors are going to have to steal one on the road. And after, what was it, when you were in Murfreesboro watching them and the Grizzlies, they just weren't very good on the road. So trying to get one in LA is going to be tough for the Warriors.
It feels like it is going to be tough for the Warriors, but as far as getting help, I mean, I think both those teams, both those franchises are at the point now where you could say that about either of them, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think
I agree.
So I think that one's kind of off the board. I think LeBron probably gets calls. I think Steph probably gets calls. I think Draymond doesn't get calls. So I mean, there's a lot of that going on. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of folks making a big deal of the free throw discrepancy, but how many times have we said it at the high school level? If you play a different style of game, you're less likely to be fouled.
If you're shooting a bunch of jump shots and you're not going to the rim, then they don't foul jump shooters in the
very
NBA.
Rarely.
Yeah.
Very rarely, because they're rarely close enough to foul them.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, 76ers 116-115 last night against the Celtics to tie the series. Suns 129-124 over the Nuggets to tie the series. Both those tied at 2. Tonight, Knicks and Heat. Miami leads the series 2-1, and Warriors at Lakers. Both of these games tonight, the Knicks and the Heat actually being in the conference semifinals to me is nuts. But
I don't think you're the only one that feels that way. But yeah, it's nice to see somebody different, relatively speaking. I mean, the East generally feels like kind of the undercard to the NBA playoffs anyway. But still, it's nice to see, a Knicks team that you've not seen in this position in a long time.
Right. And glad to see it too. Glad to see the Knicks in a spot to get to kind of elevate, because I think the NBA is better when New York's, interested.
Yeah,
really
exactly. So, yeah.
Moving on topics, LeBron's son, Bronny James, has chosen USC West.
Not South Carolina, huh?
Not South Carolina. He is headed to USC, which I think is an interesting choice, considering, obviously they're going to be in the Big Ten soon. And yeah, right. So I'm curious how that's going to play out. How long is he going to be there? Is he going to be there long enough to, to actually experience the Big Ten, or is he just going to play the 1 year in the Pac-12 and then go, what to expect from Bronny James? Because he wasn't a highly, he wasn't like some huge recruiter. He was a McDonald's All-American, but a lot of folks think that was just because of who he was.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of, I think that there is a school of thought out there that if he was Bronny Smith, you wouldn't be hearing all this about him. So it's going to be interesting to watch, the next couple of years. I feel like he's probably going to be a one and done kind of guy because, LeBron has just mentioned on more than one occasion that he wants to play with him. So that's going to have to happen quick if it's going to happen.
Yeah. So there you have it. One more thing before we get out of here, I guess, if we don't really have a whole lot of time to get into it, but Kansas State going to extend head coach Chris Kleiman.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's probably a good call on the part of Kansas State, to be honest.
I think so too. And we can talk more about it later this week. We got a lot of great stuff coming up this week, so make sure to stick around with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll come back to you live tomorrow from the Lee Company studio. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. We will see you then.